You can walk into almost any bookstore right now, hand the cashier like $15, and walk out with the exact step-by-step blueprint to become a millionaire. Or, get into the best physical shape of your life, or completely overhaul your relationships.
Right, the treasure map isn't hidden at all.
Exactly. It's fully public, beautifully formatted, and, available on audiobook. So, if the clues are all there, why is almost everyone still lost?
Yeah, that is the million-dollar question.
Right. Like, why do so many of us struggle to actually get results when the instructions are literally sitting on our nightstands? We're doing a deep dive into that exact paradox today.
It's such a crucial topic.
It really is. We are exploring the core mechanics of human achievement by looking at some incredibly powerful concepts from the book Be a Hero, Decode Your Greatness. Specifically, we are locking our focus entirely on what the book calls Principle Third.
Well, the title page of that section actually outlines Hero Principles the Third, 4, and BEA, but you were completely right to isolate Principle 3 for this discussion.
Yeah, it just makes sense to zero in on it.
Definitely. Because it's fundamentally about the achievement blueprint. And, our mission today isn't just to list out another set of motivational tips for you.
No, we have plenty of those already.
Exactly. We are going to decode the actual science behind success as presented in these materials and really figure out the psychological mechanics of why knowing what to do is rarely enough to actually get it done.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the source material hits you with this reality right out of the gate. It states that success leaves clues, and that there is a definitive science behind achieving it in business or fitness or just your personal life.
Yeah, science is mapped out.
But then it quickly pivots away from, praising the abundance of self-help resources and points the finger directly at the human mechanism trying to use them.
Which is us.
Right.
Yeah.
We think our problem is a lack of information. We think we just haven't found the right spreadsheet or the right morning routine or, the perfect step-by-step guide.
Which is the ultimate trap of the highly analytical mind, honestly. We falsely believe that humans operate like simple algorithms. We assume that if we just input the perfect logical steps, we will automatically output success.
Just plug and play.
Exactly. But to understand why that fails, the author makes a crucial callback to Principle 2 from earlier in their framework.
Which is a huge shift.
It is. The core philosophy here argues that humans are primarily driven by emotions, not logic.
Man, that is a tough reality for the planners out there.
Oh, absolutely.
It essentially means your perfectly color-coded schedule is just useless on its own.
What's fascinating here is how resistant we are to that fact. We try to build a life based on cold, calculated logic because logic feels safe.
It's controllable.
Right, it feels controllable. But logic alone possesses absolutely zero kinetic energy. It doesn't move you.
Wow, that's a great way to put it.
If you think about the physiological mechanism of action in the human brain, logic happens in the prefrontal cortex. It's slow, deliberate, and really resource-heavy. Emotion, however, originates deeper down in the limbic system. It's fast, incredibly powerful, and it evolves specifically to drive immediate physical action. So without tapping into that emotional fuel, your logical plans are just, theoretical documents.
It's like having a state-of-the-art GPS system in your car, but absolutely zero gas in the tank.
Yes, perfect analogy.
You have the satellite uplink. The high-definition screen is showing you the exact turn-by-turn directions to your destination. It's calculating the fastest route, avoiding all the traffic. The logic of the machine is flawless.
The map is perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
You know exactly where to go, but you can't move an inch. You are just sitting in the driveway, staring at a screen, wondering why you aren't at the beach yet.
That is the perfect way to visualize the disconnect. The books, the seminars, the 5-year plans, those are the GPS. They provide the map and the route.
A logic.
Exactly. But raw emotion is the combustion engine. It is the gasoline. You cannot navigate to your destination without the map, but you certainly can't leave the driveway without the fuel.
Wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
If emotion is the fuel, isn't relying on it inherently dangerous? Emotions are famously volatile.
Sure.
You wake up one day feeling incredibly motivated and ready to conquer the world, but the very next day it's raining, you didn't sleep well, and you just feel lethargic and totally apathetic.
We've all been there.
Right, so if this entire blueprint requires emotional fuel to function, how do we actually harness something so unpredictable? We can't just sit around waiting for a sudden burst of inspiration to finally start working on our goals.
That pushback gets to the very heart of why people burn out.
Okay.
Relying on raw, unchanneled emotion is exactly what creates that roller coaster of starting and stopping. The framework doesn't suggest you let your daily moods dictate your actions.
So what's the alternative?
The solution is to systematically generate and direct that emotional fuel by funneling it through a highly rigid structure. You manufacture the emotional drive intentionally.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and that brings us to the life coach 3-step process that really forms the foundation of this achievement blueprint.
A structural funnel for the emotional fuel. Let's break down how that architecture actually works,
It starts with step one. What do you want? And this requires defining a highly specific outcome.
which we hear a lot.
We do. We often hear that we need specific goals, but the behavioral science behind why we need them is rarely explained.
Right.
The human brain interprets ambiguity as a threat. When a goal is vague, like, I want to be more successful, the brain expends a massive amount of cognitive energy just trying to figure out what that even means on a Tuesday morning.
Exhausting.
By defining the exact destination, you remove the cognitive friction. You program precise coordinates into the GPS.
So instead of I want to be healthier, it becomes I want to run 3 miles without stopping by October 1st. You completely eliminate the guesswork.
Precisely. And then step two is where the actual ignition happens. The question is, why do you want it?
The big why.
Yes.
That
This is the stage where you clarify your underlying reasons to intentionally spark that emotional drive. Then step three is, how do you achieve it?
the logistics.
Right. That is the logistical phase where you construct the comprehensive action plan.
I really want to zero in heavily on step 2 because honestly, I think this is where the entire game is won or lost for most of us.
I agree completely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The text drops an incredibly provocative line when breaking down this step. It says, it's not discipline that kills dreams, it's having impotent goals.
Impotent goals.
Yeah, goals that literally possess no power to move you.
Let's really analyze the psychology behind that phrase. An impotent goal is something that lacks intrinsic emotional weight.
It's empty.
Exactly. It's usually born out of obligation, societal expectation, or just pure cold logic. Imagine setting a goal like, I need to save 15% of my income because financial experts say that's the responsible metric.
There is zero emotional juice in that statement.
None.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't connect to your core identity or your deepest desires,
Right.
so what happens?
You fail.
Right. When the friction arrives, when you see a targeted ad for a vacation you really want, or when you're stressed and just want to order expensive takeout, that impotent goal simply collapses.
It just can't hold up.
It cannot generate enough emotional resistance to override your desire for immediate comfort.
And what we usually do in that moment of failure is we turn inward and completely assassinate our own character. We say, oh, I have no willpower, I'm lazy, I just don't have the discipline to succeed.
Yeah.
We treat it as a moral failing.
We blame the engine for stalling when in reality we never put any high-octane fuel in the tank to begin with.
Wow.
The concept of the impotent goal is incredibly liberating because it reframes the problem entirely. It suggests that your discipline is likely perfectly fine, your goal's lack of emotional resonance is the actual bottleneck.
You haven't given it any power.
You haven't dug deep enough into the why to give the goal any real teeth. And to ground this in established behavioral science, there is a subtle but critical footnote attached to this section of the text that we really have to look at.
Oh, the reference to Tony Robbins?
Yes, exactly. The author explicitly notes that their Ye a Hero continuous quest for improvement involves amalgamating methods from personal experience with insights from world-class experts.
Right.
And the footnote specifically references Tony Robbins' 1996 Rapid Planning Method, or RPM.
Which is fascinating.
It's not just a casual name drop, it reveals the underlying mechanics of the whole blueprint. RPM is an architectural approach to human behavior. It posits that focusing on the specific result, the what, and the massive purpose, the why, must heavily precede the action plan, the how.
Because if you start with the how, you immediately get overwhelmed by the logistics.
That's the mechanism right there.
Yeah.
When you look at a massive project and start with how, your brain instantly catalogs all the potential obstacles, the late nights, the required effort.
It feels impossible.
The task seems impossible and your motivation just plummets. But if you anchor the process in the why, if you attach the goal to a burning desire to provide for your family, or to prove something to yourself, or to finally achieve absolute freedom over your time, you change the neurochemistry of the endeavor.
It literally changes your brain.
It does. The emotional weight of the why floods your system with dopamine and adrenaline, which artificially lowers the perceived difficulty of the how.
I really want you, listening to this right now, to stop and reflect on your own history with this. Think about a time recently when you failed at a new diet, or a creative endeavor, or trying to learn a new skill. How quickly did you jump to the conclusion that you lacked discipline?
Probably instantly.
Right. You probably convinced yourself you just weren't strong enough to see it through.
Mm.
But what if, according to this blueprint, your discipline wasn't the variable that failed? What if you were just trying to execute an impotent goal?
A goal with no fuel.
Exactly. A goal so utterly devoid of emotional connection that it couldn't survive first contact with a difficult morning. It completely shifts the paradigm of how you approach your next attempt. You don't necessarily need to try harder. You need to desire better.
You have to engineer the goal so that it inherently demands action from you. It has to pull you forward so strongly that discipline becomes just a secondary requirement. That makes so much sense.
And once you accomplish that, once you have a highly potent goal fueled by a massive emotional why and structured by a clear how, It fundamentally alters your day-to-day reality.
The whole game changes.
This is the exact point in the text where the focus shifts from the mechanics of planning into the psychology of resilience.
Because having a brilliant plan and a tank full of emotional gas doesn't guarantee a smooth highway. You are still going to hit traffic, you are still going to experience flat tires and bad weather.
Of course. But the application of this achievement science actively eradicates two highly toxic cognitive habits that usually destroy momentum.
Okay, what are they?
The first habit is blaming someone or something else for your inaction. When your emotional why is massive enough, external excuses just lose their appeal. You stop caring whose fault the roadblock is, and you just focus on clearing it.
You just want to get past it.
Exactly. The second habit it eradicates is the tendency to view failures as a dead end. This is a huge shift. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, you start seeing it as a detour. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a standard motivational poster cliche, but let's look at the actual mechanics of what that means for your brain.
The psychological difference between those two labels is immense. When the brain perceives a dead end, it triggers a specific neurological response.
Like an alarm.
Yeah. A dead end implies finality. The journey is over. The goal is dead. This perception often triggers an amygdala hijack, a stress response that floods your body with cortisol.
You literally shut down.
You feel defeated, you shut down, and your brain stops looking for solutions because, by definition, a dead end means there are no solutions left.
You literally pack up the car and go home.
But cognitively reframing that exact same obstacle as a detour completely changes the brain's operating state. A detour means the destination hasn't changed.
The what is still the same.
Yes, and the emotional why is still entirely intact. The only thing that has changed is the logistics of the how.
Oh, wow.
By using the word detour, you keep your prefrontal cortex engaged in problem-solving mode. You start scanning the environment for alternative routes. The obstacle stops being a threat to your goal and becomes just a temporary logistical puzzle.
That is incredibly powerful.
The text states that when you successfully kill those two habits, when you abandon blame and refuse to accept dead ends, you cross a threshold. You evolve into what it calls a hero in the making, and there's no turning back.
There's an incredible finality to that phrase, no turning back. Once you train your brain to automatically process failures as detours, you literally cannot unsee the possibilities. You can't go back to being the victim of circumstance because your brain is too busy calculating the new route.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source material goes out of its way to clarify that this blueprint is not strictly for corporate climbing or financial gain.
It's broader than that.
Much broader. It's a universal operating system. The text explicitly lists the domains where this science applies: your body, your emotions, your relationships, your time, your career, your finances, and your spirituality.
Basically everything.
Exactly. The mechanism of attaching a potent why to a specific what works whether you are trying to rebuild a marriage, learn a language, or start a company.
But implementing that system, especially the part about treating massive, devastating failures as mere detours, requires a tremendous amount of internal authority. I mean, when the market crashes or a business partner betrays you or you get an unexpected medical diagnosis, standing your ground and saying, this is not a dead end, I'm still reaching my destination, requires absolute psychological armor.
It does. It's not easy.
And that perfectly tees up the manifesto portion of the text. The source material doesn't just offer you a 3-step behavioral blueprint. It offers a foundational code, the Be a Hero code.
And the text frames this code not just as a nice thought, but as an absolute necessity for locking in this mindset shift. It actually commands the reader to memorize it.
Yeah, the code is delivered as a very simple question and answer. It asks, what do you have total control of? And the answer is, my dreams.
My dreams. The certainty of that statement is profound.
I am going to push back on the author here, though, because we have to test the structural integrity of that claim.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is it actually realistic to assert that we have total control of our dreams?
Well,
I mean, real life is incredibly messy. Economic realities shift. People get sick. Completely random events derail our best laid plans constantly.
That's true.
We don't control the economy or other people's actions. So can we really claim total control? Or does the text mean we only control the internal vision of the dream, even when physical reality forces us into a massive detour?
That is the exact philosophical tension that naturally arises from this claim, and the source material actually anticipates this friction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To resolve it, the final image presented in the text relies on a quote by Galilee C. Masterson. The quote reads, "When awake, we control our dreams. When asleep, our dreams control us." Quite ironically.
That is a brilliant piece of juxtaposition. Let's dig into the irony there.
It perfectly addresses your skepticism about control. Think about the mechanics of being physically asleep. When you enter REM sleep and start dreaming, you are entirely thrust into a narrative you didn't consciously choose.
Yeah, totally random.
You might be falling off a cliff or flying over a city or showing up to a final exam you forgot to study for. The environment, the plot, and your emotional reactions are entirely dictated to you.
Right.
You are a completely passive participant in a reality generated by your subconscious. You have zero agency. The dream has total control over you.
You are just a passenger locked in the vehicle until you wake up.
Exactly. But the irony is that the dynamic flips completely the moment you open your eyes. In your waking life, your dreams, meaning your conscious ambitions, your goals, the specific outcomes you desire, are entirely subject to your design.
You are awake now.
Right. You are no longer the passive participant. You are the architect. You are the one who defines the specific what. You are the one who attaches the massive emotional why to ensure the goal isn't impotent. You build the action plan.
The blueprint.
And crucially, you are the one who decides whether an unexpected obstacle is a final dead end or just a temporary detour. The outside world will absolutely throw uncontrollable variables at you, but the dream itself, the destination and your drive to reach it, remains under your absolute authority.
It's untouched.
So when the code asserts that you have total control of your dreams, it is specifically referring to these waking dreams.
So what does this all mean for you as you listen to this? If we zoom all the way out and look at the entire achievement blueprint we've pulled apart today, the overarching narrative is incredibly clear.
It really comes together.
It does. If you want to achieve actual greatness in any facet of your life, you have to stop relying on cold, analytical logic to drag you across the finish line. A perfect spreadsheet will never generate the momentum required to change your life.
Logic is the GPS.
But emotion is the gas. You must start designing emotionally potent waking dreams goals attached to a why so deep and powerful that the concept of discipline becomes almost entirely irrelevant. The goal should pull you forward on its own.
Beautifully said.
And above all, you have to cultivate the internal authority to completely reject the concept of a dead end. Every failure, every setback is just a detour on a map where you are firmly in the driver's seat.
It's the ultimate transition from being a passive consumer of self-improvement literature to becoming an active practitioner of behavioral science.
A huge leap.
It is the shift from just acknowledging the clues that success leaves behind to actually picking up those clues and using them to construct a psychological engine that cannot be stopped.
It is the only guaranteed way to finally get the car out of the driveway and actually use that $15 treasure map.
Which leaves a lingering, critical question to consider, building directly on that Masterson quote.
Okay.
If it is true that it is only in our waking life that we possess the ultimate power to control our dreams, are you actively designing those waking dreams using the emotional blueprint we mapped out today? Or are you simply sleepwalking through your daily goals, relying on a flawless GPS with an empty gas tank, and allowing the unpredictable world to dictate your final destination?